some spells, if your concentration drops on them, I just recast them next turn. It's fine. Other spells, like maybe a hold person, well, it might not land the next time, you know?
Or
So
haste. You don't want to drop concentration on that.
just don't cast haste. Secret plan that works every time.
Hello, friends. Robert Bettman here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Cameron, aka Prince Phantom. And today we will be going over his list of the top feats for the wizard class.
Yeah, last up is the wizard, and last but certainly not least, wizard is probably the strongest class in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if it's close.
The druid has a decent argument, but no, it's the wizard. They just get the best spells, and they get the capacity to learn all of them given enough time and gold.
Yeah, and like they get almost all the spells. And there are a few that are specific to other classes, and some. I'm thinking very few that multiple other classes get that exclude wizard.
Yeah,
But
there's very few that the wizard is jealous of,
yeah,
like conjure animals and a couple of the other summon spells that druids get. Maybe spirit guardians from the cleric list. I'm
I mean, wizards
struggling to
get
think of many more.
conjures. Yeah, they don't need to conjure animals. They conjure whatever they want.
Yeah, they do. They get some other good summoning spells. You're right. So they get the best blast, control, debuff, utility spells, and the only area of spellcasting they're lacking is healing. But who cares? Healing sucks anyway. You don't need it. So,
So what are the
uh,
what are the weaknesses we're looking to address here?
so defense is one.
Mhm.
Uh, now I say defense. Defense can be addressed by the wizard in a lot of different ways. Some of the subclasses do it, like Blade Singer and the Abjuration Wizard. Other ways can include multi-classing. So the artillerist, excuse me, not the artillerist specifically, but the artificer
Mhm.
can be a great starting point for a wizard. A very common wizard multi-class is to start as a level 1 artificer and go 19 wizard. It gives you constitution saving throw proficiency, medium armor and shield proficiency, a couple of healing spells to fill that niche, you know, if you really, really need them,
Mhm.
and sets you up really well for the rest of your wizard journey. It doesn't slow your spell slot progression at all. You do learn spells of higher levels one level late, but that's all. That's the only thing you're sacrificing for that.
Yeah.
Now,
And then you've got defensive spells.
yeah, you've got things like shield, silvery barbs. There's a bunch of different ones. Mage armor, if you want to. There's some stuff you can do with that. So there's a lot of ways to adapt your defense and to actually sneakily become the tankiest class in the game. Ha ha ha! Wizards do get everything.
Yes.
So past that, you're asking me to find weaknesses on the best class in the game. It's hard. Wizards are the least feat hungry class in this entire game.
Yeah.
If you asked me to play in a campaign that did not allow feats, I go wizard every time.
Mm.
They don't need them. Said they're blessed in the fact that they still get them.
Yes.
So guess what? They don't need them. That means they get to take basically whatever they want, and it'll always be good. There are some obviously options that are better, but you've got a lot more freedom here than you do in other classes.
Still not taking keen mind.
Nope. Don't do that. Even if it's thematically fitting, still don't do it. It's still bad.
Oh,
So, first off, as always, there's certainly some merit in taking some spells through feats. Even as a wizard who gets all these spells, why not more, right?
yeah, that's what we do.
Porque los dos, why not both? So you can take Fate Touched, you can take Shadow Touched. It's cool if you take these feats at level 1, which is something that some classes can't really afford to do because they have higher priority feats. Wizard doesn't.
Mm,
So you as a wizard could take Fate Touched at level 1 and get a second level spell 2 levels early.
that's great. Yeah. Or even
Or
shadow touch.
yeah,
You get
you
invisibility.
You get invisibility at level 1. That's really powerful.
Mhm.
So yeah, both are fantastic options. Obviously, with both of these feats, you can get their spells that they provide through your normal wizard progression. So neither of them are necessary. They do give you an intelligence bump as well, though. So if you need to round out an intelligence score up to the next even modifier, sure, go for it. You'll expand your
Or
book.
the next odd modifier, and you're going to pick up another one later anyway.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Plan ahead.
Uh, Now, Warcaster, I would say, is one that probably most wizards are going to look to grab. War Now, I did just mention how they can take a level 1 dip in Artificer to start off with to gain Constitution saving throw proficiency,
Mhm.
which would mean that you're not as hungry for Warcaster. You probably still would take it eventually just to make sure your Constitution saving throws are really, really good, but you don't need it as much if you do that level 1 dip. But straight
Another
wizards will appreciate it.
another argument against it is compared to the other casters we've talked about, at least recently, you know, all right, if your concentration gets broken, you've got a ton more spells. Like,
It's true.
yeah,
Yeah. It is a matter of, some spells, if your concentration drops on them, I just recast them next turn, it's fine. Other spells, like maybe a hold person, well, it might not land the next time,
yeah. Or
So
haste. You don't want to drop
just
concentration on that.
don't cast haste. Secret plan that works every time. So, point being, you'll probably still want to take Warcaster either way. If you didn't take the level 1 dip in Artificer, probably want to take it earlier. If you did take the level 1 dip in Artificer, you can probably wait a while.
Yeah, there's arguments for not needing it, but I don't know if there's arguments for not taking it.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
thing. We don't have anything that's super important for most wizard, like the generic wizard build.
Mm.
And of course, if you're doing specialized things with your build, you might have higher priorities, but just for a generic wizard, really you don't. So you can take some stuff before Warcaster and then take Warcaster. You can take Warcaster first and then take some other stuff. You're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really easy. Telekinetic. Most wizard subclasses leave our bonus action free on most turns. There are some exceptions, but most subclasses will leave your bonus action free. You do get some bonus action spells, of course, on the
Yeah,
Misty
yeah.
Step, but you're not going to be casting those every single turn. So having something like Telekinetic can be really good. As a wizard, you probably already picked up Mage Hand to begin with. Guess what? Now you've got an even better Mage Hand.
Love that.
And that 5-foot shove can be used to keep enemies in stuff like a wall of fire. Or a great thing to do if your enemies are just out of range of something like you want to entrap them in a wall of force, just push that one right in there and then set up the wall of force.
Hmm.
Always don't forget this. You can use your bonus action before your action. That's always an option. So keep that in mind if you need to set up enemies just perfectly to fit them in kind of a smaller AoE like a web or a wall of force. That's a great way to do it.
Or web, it doesn't really matter. You can, cast the web first and then shove them into it.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works too in that instance.
Yeah.
Um, Wizard, I think, is a great candidate to take the alert feat early because, like I said, not super feat hungry, and having an extra bonus to initiative is amazing on a wizard because of spells like Web and Wall of Force.
Mm.
You're denying more enemy actions by going first,
Right.
and you're allowing your party to take less damage. That's really what a spell like Web does.
Well,
It didn't.
a few
Yeah,
videos ago, you also mentioned, yeah, you want to get in there before everybody starts mingling.
exactly. You're saving your party from damage, is what you're doing.
Hmm.
If you can incapacitate, and not necessarily the actual, condition incapacitate, if you
Right.
can disable 3 enemies out of 6 that you're fighting to deal with them later, that's a lot of attacks that your party is not taking. That's
Oh,
HP that you don't need to heal.
okay.
That's,
Well,
you
we're
know,
talking about two different things, but it still amounts to your party taking less damage. Yeah, if you can take
yeah,
out enemies before they get to go, yeah, your party's taking less damage. I'm talking about when before the two parties start clashing and everybody's together and you want to throw down a fireball,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
your party taking less damage.
exactly. Uh, yeah, the evoker wizards get to do that willy-nilly, but the rest of us
Yeah.
have to actually be careful with our spells. So I think Wizard is a great candidate for taking alert early. And as I did mention in the sorcerer video, getting surprised really bad when you only have a d6 hit die. You
Yep.
can go down. That is an easy way to kill a wizard, is to surprise them. Now, good wizard will have defensive layers of AC and other things, but still, you can get a bad dice roll.
Sure.
So not
Happens all
being
the time.
surprised, yeah, not being surprised is very, very crucial. And the great thing about alert, only one person in the party needs to have it for the entire party to avoid surprise.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're not surprised, it's kind of thing you have to surprise an entire group in order to have surprise.
Hmm.
If you're not surprising an entire group, then they alert their buddies. It
Right.
makes sense when you think about it.
Sure.
So yeah, you having alert benefits your entire party.
Perfect.
Um, Past that, Gift of the Metallic Dragon, I talked about this in a Warlock video. The same thing that I said there applies to wizards. Most wizards are going to be ranged characters, going to be staying in the back line. There are some obvious exceptions, Blade Singers and other crazy Gish multi-class builds that you want to make. But 90% of wizards are going to be backline. And through this, you can gauge the enemy's move speed, stand, outside of that, hopefully. But if you can't get outside of that, get close to outside of it. So when they run up and they hit you, you push them back 10 feet. They can't close the distance to make the rest of their attacks. That's the general
Yeah,
play pattern with.
that's a good play pattern if you can pull it off. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it does compete with shield and counterspell and other reaction spells like that. But if it's a neat thing to kind of add to your reaction arsenal, because if you have a bunch of enemies that are going to swarm and attack you, you want shield.
Definitely.
If you got one guy that's coming at you and attacking you, and you've set up the situation right where the distance is going to be right, and you push him back, and you can avoid attacks that way, you want Gift of the Metallic Dragon. That's
Well,
going
I
to
don't know
protect you
because
from more
I mean,
damage.
you're getting protected from multiple attacks. You might want shield anyway.
Yeah, but you get to save the spell slot with Gift of the Metallic Dragon in this
Oh,
case.
yeah,
It's
that's
a give
true.
and take, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, it adds to your arsenal. It's another option. It won't
Right.
be good for every instance. Be good for some though, and it gives you an intelligence bump, so that's good too.
Love that.
Uh, you definitely gonna want to take resilient as a wizard. Now, you might. Well, okay. So here's kind of the catch 22. If you took the one level artificer dip to start off with, you've got constitution saving throws. Great. You don't have wisdom saves. If you just went straight wizard, great. You've got wisdom saves. You don't have constitution saves.
Wait a second. All right, so if you start off just playing wizard, you get wisdom saves.
You get intelligence and wisdom saves.
But if you go artificer first and then multi-class into wizard, you don't pick up those saves.
Correct.
Oh,
So when multi-classing, you do not gain saving throw proficiencies of your new class.
oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, it's an important thing to remember. That's why it's important to think about what class you're starting in, because
Hmm.
that's what's gonna determine what your saving throws are. And there are ways, like resilient, to pick up more saving throws along the way, but you can't pick up more saving throws by multi-classing
Okay,
unless you run into like some subclass feature that gives you proficiency in another save.
right.
So yeah, you're either going to be taking resilient for constitution or wisdom, depending on how you built your character. Um, and you'll be happy with it either way. Trust me, you don't want your wizard to get mind controlled. You might think, oh no, the barbarian's always the one that gets mind controlled. Yeah, that might be how some DMs play it, but the one they should actually be targeting is you, the wizard, because you have Fireball and Wall of Force and Hypnotic Pattern and can kill your party whenever you want. So, yeah, it's very dangerous to not shore up those wisdom saving throws.
All right, yeah, no argument here.
Yeah, and then I mean we're already to stuff like tough and lucky. Like that's how not feat hungry the wizard is. There are some other feats you can take if you want to. You could there's a lot of the setting specific feats, like the different Strixhaven initiate feats.
Hmm.
Um, the wizard is a great option for some of those Dragonlance feats that you guys went over a couple of
The
months ago.
Squire of Solemnity and all that.
Well, not the martial based
Oh,
ones
what was
necessarily,
the?
but the magic
Oh,
based
the like
ones.
Initiate of High Sorcery or something. Was that it?
Yeah, things like that. Yeah, because like I said, the wizard isn't at feat
All
starved,
right,
so
like
those feats that might be a little underwilling.
Wizard of the Wear Red Robes and that. Yeah.
Yeah, those. Yeah, so because the wizard isn't that feat starved, it's easier for them to take those sort of feats that
Hmm.
are kind of are building on top of each other incrementally. Whereas
Yeah.
something like a sorcerer or like a fighter can't afford to take Squire of Solamnia because it doesn't do anything, even though the later feats might do something cool.
Yeah, that's something I missed from third edition as well. I hadn't even thought about it until now. The feat trees.
Yeah, I've heard about those. That sounds interesting. It's something that it seems like they tried to do in fifth edition almost retroactively, and it just didn't work
Mm.
in most instances anyway.
Anyways, that's not what this video is about.
Yeah, I will say, Wizard is a great option to take one of the Strixhaven initiates, and then to take the Strixhaven mascot feat. That's one that's not talked about very often because it's a 2 feet requirement thing, so
Mhm.
not many classes can do it. But the Wizard kind of can. That gives you a familiar that's kind of in the same vein as the Pact of the Chain familiars,
Right.
in that they are way more powerful than a regular familiar. Um, there's one of them, I can't remember what the name of it is, can grow to gargantuan size.
That's
It
pretty
doesn't change its stat block in any way, but it gets that big.
okay.
It's still just as strong as it was before, but it can occupy a huge amount of space, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Quandrix one, whatever the name of that is. Um, Either way, there's some really neat, nifty stuff in there if you want to look into it. A lot of classes can't afford to go that deep into something like that. Wizard can. It's a great way to spice up your character if you haven't delved into that stuff before.
Sure. All right. Well, I guess
And
that what
yeah, and if
you got
that
more?
stuff is actually allowed in your campaign, because not every
Oh, that's
DM
true.
allows. Yeah. So check with your DM before you dive into that sort of thing.
Yeah, but at least look through it anyway. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right. That about wraps it up then, right?
Yep. There's plenty of other feats that you can take as a wizard. These are just the best ones. If you have a pet feat that you want to take something like telepathic or something, go for it. Nothing wrong with it. You'll
Yeah,
have plenty of
you're a
space in your
wizard.
character sheet for it.
Okay. Well, those were Cameron's best picks for wizard feats. Thank you, Cameron, and thank you all for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe. Goodbye.
Bye bye.